Okay, then. G'day, everyone. It is Jai, that Aussie metal guy, here with Crannk.com. Today, tonight, wherever you are in the world, I'm absolutely stoked to be chatting with none other than Joakim Brodén from the powerhouse frontman of Swedish power metal legend Sabaton, who are set to ignite a whole new chapter with their 11th studio album, Legends, which is dropping October 17th through Better Noise Music. It is bringing to life some of history's most iconic and fascinating figures, from Joan of Arc to Napoleon, Julius Caesar to Miyamoto Musashi, wrapped in those massive riffs, epic choruses, and battle-hardened storytelling only Sabaton can deliver. Thank you very much for joining me, mate.
Well, thank you for having me, and what an intro.
Mate, absolute bloody pleasure, man. I have loved you guys for a while. I'm a major history buff, so one thing that has drawn me to your music, besides the epic music, is the storytelling as well. And this album, Legends, it feels like a really bold leap for you guys. Keeping in with Sabaton, of course, but going further back in time, exploring those larger than life historical figures. Can you tell me a little bit about the concept for Legends and how it all came together?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to do something different after having been in World War One era warfare for quite some time. We felt when the pandemic hit, we just started touring on the Great War theme, and we also had songs left. Like, we wanted to tell the story of, well, Christmas truce, Hellfighters, and we didn't have the right music in that case for on when we were making the Great War. So it made perfect sense for us to continue in the World War One track. This time, however, we felt like we had. I'm not saying never again, but we're, for now at least, done with World War One, and we wanted to do something different. An idea about something like this is something we had floating around for quite some time, because, as you said, it takes you to different places for sure compared to, I mean, we have done ancient warfare before, but most of it has been modern warfare, World War One and onward. So it was really liberating, I guess, to move out here. I mean, totally new vocabulary to work with when writing lyrics, for sure. And the only problem we had was, like, we love to, obviously there are some stories that are fantastic and they're known for a reason. It's obvious, and most people have heard about them. Maybe we can bring something new to light, but we also love to bring in something totally unknown and something people have never heard before. The problem with this then is legends. You're not going to be a legend, or it's not going to be a legendary thing if nobody's ever heard of it before. So we had to work a bit differently here, thinking like, yeah, okay, Lu Bu, the Chinese general on Tiger Among Dragons, not unheard of, but pretty unheard of where we're from. So we had to start looking more geographically diverse as well, because Miyamoto Musashi, the samurai, is by far from unknown in Japan.
Yeah.
However, in at least Scandinavian culture, I'd say you have to be into history to have heard about him. And then
Yeah.
also the possibility of exploring different sides. I mean, him, for example, there's a big. He's not only a duelist and a warrior, but he's an author as well, and there's a big, well, I guess, philosophical aspect to him as well.
Yeah, I went on a bit of deep dive after this because I knew a little bit about Musashi, and that's one of the things I love about your music. Like, the music gets me, but I love diving into the history side of things as well. So, and then got on a bit of a tangent with all his philosophy as well. It's amazing. Like, it's like 60 duels undefeated, but not only that, he was an amazing author, a philosopher as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice extra touch. So I read his book, the Book of Five Rings, and if anyone who's read that or looked into it, they're gonna recognize that in the pre-choruses of this track, because a lot of those pre-choruses are excerpts or inspired or rephrasings of his book, the Book of Five Rings, because he's talking about all the elements: earth, water, fire, wind, and then the void.
Yeah, and I was reading there, this is the first time kind of every band member has kind of contributed to the whole songwriting process. Tell me a little bit about how that changed the creative energy and the dynamic in the studio for you guys.
It hasn't really changed anything because it's just the first time everybody's been on the same album. I
Yeah,
have written with Hannes the drummer before. I've
yeah.
written with Chris and Tobbe the guitar players before, and Per has always been involved in the lyric writing. So it's just the first time we were all together at the same time, and I'm happy about it because it means less time for me sitting alone writing music. So that's the biggest change, I guess. I wasn't as alone this time. Yay!
Yay! And we did talk about Musashi, which is the Duelist track as well, and you got the Lightning at the Gates, which is Hannibal as well. There's some amazing history about what Hannibal done, which is unreal. Both distinct personalities. What made you choose them two? Well, we know about Musashi, but tell us a little bit about Hannibal.
Well, it's that's a tricky one to answer because Hannibal, there are so many layers sort of to why
Yeah.
he was chosen. First of all, legendary commander. I mean, we don't talk about it in this song, but the Battle of Cannae and, the Carthaginian Wars. However, if there's, when you're talking about legends, we're not only talking about facts, there might be myths, and there's also the visual aspect of it. And for me, one of the most legendary images I can conjure, thinking of all of military history, maybe it wasn't that his most important achievement or biggest battle, but bringing elephants over the Alps to have the audacity and guts to do something like that. It has to be one of the most, at least to me, one of the most legendary things ever done in military history. Most important or significant? No, probably not. But the whole imagery that I have in my mind around it like made him and that moment a home run, I guess, for the album.
Yeah, and speaking of visual imagery, I'm looking at the album now, and with the Hannibal on the elephant, and you got Napoleon and all the legends kind of on there. That's some amazingly striking art. Tell us a little bit about that, and also the 11 vinyl variants that just look bloody amazing, dude.
Oh, the vinyls I wouldn't know much about. I know Chris, who is a collector himself, he loves all of that, different editions,
Yep.
different artworks. I love it too, but I am visually challenged, I should say. I when it comes to different editions, artworks, I can go thumbs up. That looks great, or no, that doesn't look great. But I have got no idea why it looks great or why it doesn't look great. So, and also, I'm not a collector myself. Uh, Chris wants to have every edition of, everything Iron Maiden or, uh, Blind Guardian, for example. He will pre-order it all as soon as it comes. For me, I want the music, yeah, but I can get that through many mediums. So I'm sorry, I couldn't really answer to the vinyls. I mean, I think it's cool that they're made, but
Yeah.
it's nothing I would buy myself. I mean, I would want to hear all the stuff that's on them, of course,
Oh,
and the
yeah,
music
damn
itself.
straight. I'm a bit of a vinyl nut, so I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one. And you guys are known for meticulously researching. Tell me a little bit about your songwriting process, especially for this one. Did you kind of sit back and decide on kind of some people that you wanted to sing about? Tell us how you kind of composed all this and
When we start any album, there's gonna be a bunch of songs that don't have anything
in it.
put onto them, but usually they're not completed songs. It's like, for example, me and Chris had only the main riff as a remnant of, we'd been writing before. I think it was when we were writing something together for the War to End All Wars.
Yep.
We had a riff. Oh, that's great. Let's save that, but it's not for this song. And that turned out to be Impaler. I mean, obviously, we finished the song. We only had the main riff first, but as we started discussing legends and which legends could be possibly incorporated, and as soon as the Impaler Vlad came on the table, so to speak, I instantly remembered, like, wait, me and Chris, we have a riff that would be perfect for this, and then we'd revisit that demo or idea and write the song with Vlad the Impaler in mind. And some other songs are written after the fact, and Templars, for example, I had a demo. Per, both me and Per like Templars, yay! And then I didn't have the lyrics, obviously, but I knew this was about the Templars. So it's impossible to say on a general basis.
Yeah, well, Vlad the
But
Impaler, that would have been that's a fun track too, dude. I've no like I dove right into the historical side. That obviously everyone's like associates that with the story of Dracula, but his real life was so much more interesting, man. What he went
yeah,
through and the things he done.
yeah, I mean, especially, I mean, he's been covered in popular media, but usually as a vampire, you
Yes.
know. And it was fun to take because as you said, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, his real life and events. This is a dark time. I think it's the Dark Ages, actually, still.
Yep.
And him being what do you call it? Not a prisoner, but almost a hostage. I don't know. You grow up under the Ottoman.
Yeah, they send like one of the children off as like almost like a hostage thing. They stay
Yeah,
with them so they don't
hostage
start a
exchange program
war.
to make sure
Exactly.
the vassals are behaving
Yeah,
themselves, you
that's the
know?
one.
And him and his brother are growing up there under Ottoman, in the Ottoman court,
Yeah.
you know? So everything from that to the struggles he had to only maintain, his position later in life. And I mean, about, him impaling maybe, but then you look at it, the amount of times he was ousted and had to sort of fight his way back to power. I mean, not by any means glorifying the individual or what he did, but wow, what a
Yeah.
life.
Oh, yeah, his story's amazing. It gets it's just people, you got to dive into all those stories. History is such a fun thing to dive into as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's in so many ways we can only, I mean, we got a metal track of somewhere between 3 and 8 minutes, I guess,
Yeah.
depending on the song. We can't really dig into all of that. Hopefully, we can. I mean, we never intended to go out and teach people history.
Yeah.
And you can't really teach people history in that amount of time. But a happy, what do you call it? Secondary effect could be if somebody gets inspired and wants to find out more about this. And yeah, I think that, and then hopefully we'll be able to make Sabaton history episodes about the rest, where we can put some more information in it.
Yeah, exactly. And you did talk about Julius Caesar and Napoleon as well, crossing the Rubicon, I Emperor. You had to chuck in something about them for sure. It couldn't be legends without them guys.
No, I mean some of them are like it would be yeah, cardinal sin to not include these people. And I mean, to be fair though, we didn't include Alexander the Great, and that is a cardinal sin, but
Oh, I
that's
know,
because
right?
we wanted so bad. I tried. I've had 3 or 4 tries of songs, but they didn't pan out well. So it's better not to do it than do it half-assed.
Yeah. Are there any challenges in condensing such vast legends into a song format? You know, or pick a battle, or it must have its challenges as well.
Yeah, especially on the more prominent ones or more famous ones, or let's say some of them aren't very well documented, I guess the word would be. You are working with a lot of myth and old, and it's a little not too much text or info known about them, and the little that's what you have to work with, and that's fine. But with a guy like Julius Caesar, very well documented, I would say, life, and Napoleon as well, and the amount of stuff they did during their lifetime. I mean, each Napoleon and Julius Caesar, we could do pretty much historically a whole album about them, and it would still be interesting. So with Caesar, it was the trick. Well, he did so much. Where do I start? What do I write about? So in the case for him, it became a story, a very unzoomed in. There's so much detail about him, but to sort of zoom out and tell the story of Caesar without going into detail. So if you know something about him, you're going to recognize and know where we are in the timeline in the song. While with Napoleon, we decided to focus on I, you
Yeah.
know, I Emperor, and him. So sung from like a first person perspective.
Yep. Yeah, no,
And there is no way, I mean, now everybody knows it's about Napoleon, but I mean, there is nowhere in the lyrics where we say this is Napoleon.
yeah.
So if you go into this and look at the lyrics, you got to know history to figure out this is Napoleon. You know, you'd have to know that, well, there's data there. Let's say the bridge, I guess it would be called. That's a rephrasing or very close to his speech that he did to his loyal guard when he was going on his first exile, his last speech to them. So to figure out this is Napoleon without having the promo material in front of you out of nowhere, that's when we thought we will give the fans something to think about. But then we realized that we were going to do interviews and all the media is going to get this media material where it says Napoleon and all the info. So it's not a secret anymore anyway.
I was a major history nerd, man. That was totally my jam at high school, and I've continued my love of history now as well. And you guys are touring Australia and New Zealand right before Legends drops. Fans here are excited. I know I am. How are you planning the set list between the classics and the new tracks?
That's the tricky part. We haven't been much in Australia, and
Yeah.
we've never toured as a headliner before. So many of the times we've gotten support sets or festival sets, which are shorter in scope, obviously. And also, the album hasn't dropped yet.
I know.
So our plan and hope, without making any promises, is to now, yeah, sure, we'll play a track or so from the new from the singles, but to focus on a little bit of the older stuff that you guys have missed
Yeah.
to sort of catch you up. And then the hope and idea is to come back before the end of the Legends Circle and give you the Legends tour. Because we couldn't give you the full Legends tour right now anyway, because the album hasn't dropped yet. And to try and focus on that and then come back and do a lot of the same wouldn't make much sense. So hopefully now we are banking on that guys think that we have enough good songs in the bag already that we can give you as many of those as possible and then give you a different set list the next time around.
Mate, with over bloody 25 years as a band, I don't think it's going to be hard to get a couple of big set lists going as well, and especially with the Legends tour. But with the classic stuff, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. You bring out some great music. And the Sabaton History Channel, I've got to mention that as well. That's been a big thing for me as well. I've always enjoyed jumping over to that, and that's become a big part of the band's identity. And you kind of worked with the guys as well with this, yeah?
Yeah. Not for the album itself. We usually do that on our own end, but we always have experts coming in, looking through things when we decide to do a Sabaton history. It's actually historians who write the script. Me and Pat are obviously there for the intro and then the talk at the end, but the
Yep.
actual history channel, that is where proper historians, because we are passionate about history, but we're amateurs. It's an
Yeah.
important distinction. And we have only a part of expert knowledge, but only about the people we sang about. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say I knew more about Napoleon than the average person on the street before making this album. But it wasn't until we really decided to make a song about him that I really dove in deeper. So I think it's misconception. People think sometimes, or seem to think, that we have, the amount of detailed historical knowledge about all of history that we have about the stuff we've sung about. Because that's the only thing you see and hear about, right? The stuff we've sung about. But our history knowledge is so much deeper on those things. Yeah, I mean, we do love history. We actually read history. I read more history than I read fiction. Uh, but I still haven't. I'm everywhere. I get tired, not tired, but I stop reading about something once I've read enough books or seen enough documentaries that I see less than 50% of the stuff I discover is new. Then I move on. Experts, they have a much, 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 much deeper knowledge than I ever will. And even on the stuff we decide to do. So to this day, we've done over 100 episodes of Sabaton history. And there isn't a single one where I didn't learn new stuff, no
Yeah.
matter how much research I thought I did.
Yeah, it's always fun going in on those deep dives. Joakim, this has been an absolute pleasure to talk about Legends. Everybody needs to go out there and grab it. Does drop October 17th via Better Noise Music. As we mentioned, there is all those vinyl variants, digital CD, even cassette as well, which I know a few people are stoked about buying cassettes. And for everyone in Australia, and two shows in New Zealand, Auckland as well. Get ready because Sabaton are marching back. They're going to bring you a night of power, history, and heavy metal glory. Everybody go out there, grab those tickets, sell them out. Joakim, last words, shout outs, thank yous, mate.
Thank you very much, and thank you to everyone for in Australia and New Zealand for coming out to the shows, because I hope you are. Otherwise, I'll find you.